Hey, welcome to another episode of geekoutdoors.com. So Microsoft just announced some upcoming terms of service changes that could potentially ban people for offensive language, among many other things. Now, this is actually going to affect services like Xbox Live, Skype, Office, and probably all of their various products and services underneath the Microsoft umbrella. Now, the thing is, this probably doesn't seem like anything new because these companies can change their terms of services at any time, and anybody who uses their services agreed to that. But the one thing that I think a lot of people might be really curious about is this whole offensive language portion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to their actual Microsoft Services Agreement. This is actually going to be effective May 1st, 2018. And the area that you want to look at is their code of conduct. Okay, so here's the line right here. There is the offensive language. Obviously, there's many other things that it also covers that absolutely make sense, especially if you're on a platform that has children on there as well. But the one area that I really feel it's going to be really hard to, I would say, address and also enforce is this offensive language part. Because if you've ever gamed online, you're on any of these streaming services, Twitch, the PSN network, Xbox Live, of course, it's pretty much impossible for you not to have foul language or offensive language or whatever that means. And the only place that I could see where I think it's clean when it comes to that is probably on the Nintendo platform. But I'm pretty sure even there people are cursing or having offensive language. Okay, so that's where I'm not sure how they are going to enforce this, whether or not they're going to actually have AI that will actually listen to your live stream and then pick up on potentially offensive words or whatever they deem offensive, or if it's going to be through a system where it's reported. Okay, so it might be a combination of both. And now that one, it's really hard for me to think that there will be completely no offensive language on these platforms. It's pretty much impossible. I mean, even if you put really strict rules, it's kind of hard when you are playing a game and you're in the moment for you not to offend somebody, because that's kind of the nature of it. And this has happened even way before internet gaming. You know, me and my friends, when we were kids, we would say a lot of offensive things. But, you know, before then, the internet did not exist, and we didn't have all of this artificial intelligence and all of these rules that we do nowadays. And so that one, I'm definitely not sure how they'll enforce. All the other stuff, this is pretty much standard for every single platform that you're on. Okay, fraudulent activity, criminal activity, any of this other stuff, you know, it's usually default standard rules. Now, the other thing that I see is the actual enforcement. Now, this is where I really feel that it could get really, really bad, because if you do violate any of these terms, they could potentially not only ban you from these services, they could close your entire Microsoft account. Okay, now you might not think that might be a big thing, but think about every single service that you use. Okay, think about your Gmail account or your Apple ID. How many services are tied to that? Or your Amazon ID. You know, a lot of us are in these ecosystems, and a lot of us purchase so many things on their ecosystems. Okay, you think about all the games, the music, books and stuff that you buy through your various services. Imagine if they close that account. And that is the real area that I see that this is going to be a problem. And this is always a potential problem anyway, you know. But the thing is, more and more of us are using these online accounts to do absolutely everything. Not only to use their services, but also to purchase a lot of things which we don't physically own. And that's one of my concerns with this whole, online world, where everything that you have is actually not physically on your machine, where everything you have is controlled and it is online. Okay. Now, obviously, this is where everything's heading. So I get that, and I understand the convenience portion of it. I definitely get all of that. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of people, you know, in the mainstream probably think about is how much control that the companies have with this whole system. Okay, so I just used those simple examples of you having games, music, books. You've probably spent thousands of dollars on these. And so if they actually close your account, you no longer have access to them. And so what are you going to do in that case? Okay. And so, you know, this is something that is definitely not a simple thing, you know, especially when you are considering, you know, all the many different countries around the world, all the various languages, all the many rules. I mean, this company could easily get sued if any of these things occur within their actual platforms. I absolutely get that. But I also don't get, like, how are you going to prevent things like this? And more importantly, what are you going to do with all the people who actually purchase stuff through your accounts, okay, through your systems? How are you going to reimburse us for all the things that we bought? Because people's accounts have been closed for the wrong reasons before. And I just kind of can see that going in a potentially bad way. And so that's why, for me personally, I really do not store a lot of things online, okay? Whether it's like their shared services, whether it is passwords, those very sensitive things I don't put online. And then the things that I do purchase online, I know it's really hard, but I try not to purchase too many things that are purely dependent upon me accessing the internet to actually use. Okay. And so I know that's pretty much almost impossible nowadays, but that's kind of why, whenever I see things like this, I really think about the part where, you lose everything that you've already purchased and that you've invested in. Okay. And so whenever I use other operating systems, like Microsoft Windows, and especially Apple's Mac OS, where they require you to have an ID, I really don't like that. Okay. And so, if you've ever used Microsoft Windows, which most people do, they really do want you to set up a Microsoft account. Now, right now, obviously you could still create a local account, but I think in the future, it'll do much like what Apple does with their operating system. And Google does the same thing with Chrome OS. And eventually they're probably going to force people to have some type of Gmail account just to use their Android phones as well. And so, that's one of the main reasons why, besides many other things, why I use Linux as an operating system at this point, because even though we do a lot of things through our browsers, I'm still really happy that the majority of things that I do want to keep personal, that I could still keep that on my computer. And the things that I do use online, I try my best as possible to make sure it's not anything that's sensitive. And also the things that I purchase, I try my best to make sure that I have a local copy on my computer that I can use without relying on their internet and especially on their services. Okay, so that is basically my thoughts on this news about this new upcoming terms of service changes. If you had any thoughts on this or anything that I just talked about, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to subscribe. And if you wanted to support my channel further, you could do that at patreon.com/Geek Outdoors. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to geekoutdoors.com, and I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.